Britain, the Brexit to us is a news blip. But in Europe, it's a huge deal. Am I right, European brother? It is huge. Europeans are very upset about this. One of the budget directors, one of the economists for the European Central Bank, who, by the way, I was a moderator at his presentation at the summit, which took place in September, and he said these words, I quote, "I believe," this is one of the top economists in Europe, he says, "I believe that the health of the economies of nations will happen when they adopt the principles of Jubilee in the Scripture," end quote. You see, God is raising people up all over the world like this. He told me, we were talking about the Brexit, because I'm from North America. I don't know anything about this. It's no big deal to me. I just see it on the news once in a while. He says, Great Britain pays 300 million euros a week to be part of the EU. That's $350 million a week as a nation to be part of the EU. In 2010, 388 people owned the total wealth of the poorest 1/2 of the world's population. 388 people own 1/2 of the lower half of the wealth of the world in their hands. 2016, that number, 388, was reduced to 62. This is exciting stuff, folks. The last point here is 50% of the world's population, 50% of the wealth of the world is owned by 1% of the population. Now, these are what the economists tell me. This is not sustainable. The brother who was the French Huguenot, who developed that new theory, he said that 4 times in the history of the world, the economics of the world have been in this situation, and that there is going to be, quote, a great transfer of wealth that is going to take place, because this is not a sustainable situation. Why is it that way? Because those 62 people, our Bible tells us that the eyes of man are never satisfied. They'll never have enough. They want to accumulate more and more and more. And the more they accumulate, the less money there is available to entrepreneurs who are able to innovate and bring innovations and bring employment to the world. That's why people are telling you, your political leaders are telling you, that the middle class is shrinking. This is one of the reasons. Now I want to tell you, in 2001, now it stands to reason that if God calls me in the area of economics, that's one of the areas that He's going to speak to me in, isn't it? Now, if God calls you in the area like He did Roger and Gloria, He called them to be pastors, to be more than pastors, but He's called them to be pastors. He's going to speak to them about the pastoral situation of His church and other churches, because that's His calling. Mine happens to be in the area of economics. And this is what the Lord, He said many things to me that morning, but I was sitting there minding my own business, reading my Bible, and the Lord just gave me a download. What do I mean by a download? I'm putting that in your terms, Sarah. She's a software architect. By download, I mean that God is dropping something in your spirit that is life-changing. It's revelation. It is revelation, and it helps you on your journey. God will do that for you. Once your assignments are clear and you begin moving into it, He will deposit these downloads in you. And this is what He said. He said there are 2 distinctly separate economic systems in the earth. The first is the economy of the world, and the second is my economy. Now you go to chapter 18 of the book of Revelation, and you read 1 through 4, and you'll see what God was talking about that morning to me. He said, I'm preparing to make my economic system the dominant system in the earth. And I said, Lord, how are you going to do that? Things are good. This was 2001. The economy was through the roof. Everybody was happy. The world was happy. Nations were happy. There was money everywhere. Am I right? You know what I'm talking about? I said, how in the world are you going to do this? Well, one of the ways that God changes things is he creates a vacuum. He will create a vacuum. Now, vacuums, we know, do not stay vacuums very long, do they? Something is drawn into that vacuum. He will draw you into those vacuums. He will create. He's a master at creating vacuums in your life, in situations, and he'll draw you in.